So you're thinking about moving to Blaine, Washington. Well, before you pack your bags, I suggest you pause and watch this video where I will share 5 reasons why Blaine may not be the right spot for you. And if you stick around till the end, I will save what is perhaps the most important for last. We're gonna get started right now. All right, so reason number 1 on our list that Blaine, Washington may not be the right spot for you is that it is such a small town. Now, Whatcom County as a whole has a population of approximately 235,000 people. The bulk of this is in the Bellingham area with a population of roughly 90,000, whereas we've got Linden, Washington around 16,500, Ferndale, Washington, very equitable, approximately 16,000, and Blaine being the 4th main city here in Whatcom County with a population just above 6,000 people. So it is quite small compared to the rest of the areas of the county, and that will of course impact some of the other things that we will talk about in this video. Number 2 on our list is directly correlated to number 1 on our list. Due to this small population size, the town of Blaine tends to be very quiet, some would even regard it as sleepy. Now, there are certain areas of Blaine, Washington, particularly the Birch Bay area, that does see a large increase in activity during the summer months, but for much of the year, Blaine is very quiet. So if you're looking for a place that has a lot of nightlife, a lot of activity, quick access to things like gyms and restaurants and bars, outdoor activities, there are going to be some of those things in the area, but they are going to be few and far between compared to the Bellingham area, for example. All right, so number 3 on our list is what I will refer to as border town hassles. Now, as you might imagine, with the Peace Arch Crossing, which is the main crossing here in Western Washington that takes you from Washington State to British Columbia, there's a lot of traffic that flows up I-5 and down I-5 in and out of Canada. This, of course, can result, particularly on weekends and holidays, with a lot of traffic congestion both at the border and in Blaine itself. The other thing to keep in mind is that U.S. holidays do not necessarily correspond with all Canadian holidays. So there's often Canadian holidays that occur that will cause just on a Monday, Tuesday, what have you, you would not think there would be much going on, but lo and behold, it's a Canadian holiday and the border tends to get very congested. So this is a problem not only if you are trying to cross the border, let's say you're working or going to school in BC and you need to cross frequently. If that's the case, definitely want to employ what is regarded as a nexus pass that helps to expedite that process. But it will not only impact things at the border, but perhaps things in Blaine as well. Another thing that will happen on occasion is that there will be increased security events, so enhanced law enforcement efforts as to the sensitive nature of having an international border. Other things that happen are, for example, with COVID, when the border was closed to non-essential travel. Well, the Blaine area relies heavily on tourism and on Canadian patronage of the business establishments that are there in Blaine. And so when the border was closed for all that time, particularly things like restaurants were impacted in a pretty negative fashion. So these are circumstances that are unique to Blaine and unique to border towns that you may not find elsewhere. Definitely something you want to keep in mind as you're considering Blaine. Hey, if this is your first time to the channel, we encourage you to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so you can keep up on all the content that we're releasing about Blaine, about Bellingham, Whatcom County, and all the great things that are going on here in this area. My name is Jeff and I'm with MJB Real Estate Group, and every day we get calls, texts, and emails from people just like you considering a move to this area, and we absolutely love it. So whether you're thinking about moving tomorrow, 10 months from now, or sometime in between, we encourage you to reach out. All of our contact information can be found below, and we are standing by and ready to help in any way that we can. One last thing I will share is that we do have a brand new relocation guide. This relocation guide is completely free, no strings attached. It's to help you better understand if a move to this area might be right for you. But for now, let's get back to talking about Blaine, Washington, and some of the shortcomings of this area. Number 4 on the list is a big one. This is healthcare. Now, while there are a handful of dentists and doctors that do practice immediately in Blaine, it's likely that at some point in time you're going to need medical care from Bellingham or perhaps beyond. Whether this is, your regular physician that you see happens to be in the Bellingham area, you can plan on a 30 or 40 minute drive depending on where you're starting and where you're going to get all the way from Blaine down to Bellingham. Perhaps it's a medical emergency, in which case St. Joseph's Hospital is the only hospital here in Whatcom County, and it's going to require transport again from Blaine down to Bellingham, again in that 30 some odd minute time frame. And particularly for seniors who may have significant medical medical needs and need to see their doctors more frequently, well, the impact again is going to be somewhat significant with your travel times. In some cases, if you need a specialist and you need to go to an even larger area such as Seattle, well, then that's going to put you, 2.5 hours out. So if you're considering Blaine, but you've got significant medical needs, you may want to do some homework and figure out if you can get the care that you need locally or if that's something that will require you to travel. All right, so last on the list, saving what is, again, perhaps the most important for last, though healthcare is very important, is employment, Category 5 employment. So as you might imagine, going back to the beginning of the video, 6,000 some odd population here in Blaine, there is a lack of employment that's associated with the population of that size. Now, as I shared, particularly in the Birch Bay area, for example, or even in Blaine proper, we do see an increase in visitors and activity, tourism, what have you, and so there are going to be increased seasonal opportunities that come up different times of the year. But if you're looking for full-time, permanent, stable employment, and you're looking for a job in, for example, retail, healthcare, the refineries, education, well, there's a very good chance that you're going to have to travel from Blaine to another area, Whatcom County. That could be Ferndale, that could be Bellingham, that could be Linden, but you're probably going to have to travel. Now, in the grand scheme of things, a 30-minute commute is not the end of the world, particularly if you're coming from a bigger city that requires you to travel something like an hour or more each way to work. But it is important that you know that if you're relocating to Blaine and gainful, meaningful employment is an important piece of the puzzle, you are not likely to find it immediately in Blaine. Now, truth be told, I happen to think Blaine is a great area. So if these 5 reasons that I've shared with you today have not deterred or dissuaded you from further considering Blaine as a future prospective place to call home, then I do encourage you that you continue to explore the area, learn more about it, and learn if it might be the right spot for you. From scenic beauty to small town charm to great access to places like Vancouver, Bellingham, and even Seattle, Blaine affords you a slightly more relaxed atmosphere and kind of a small town community, also providing a slightly lower cost of living than some of the other areas of Whatcom County. So for all those reasons, Blaine might be the right spot for you. Definitely worth checking out. Hey, as always, I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Encourage you to like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, and remind you one last time that all of my contact information is found below. We've also got the free relocation guide that I mentioned earlier in the video. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. I hope it's been helpful to you, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.